March 6, 1957. Midnight strikes in Accra. A young man raises the red, gold, and green flag as 60,000 voices roar across the Black Star Square. Ghana is free. The Gold Coast is no more. And Francis Kwame Nkrumah, son of a goldsmith from Nkroful, has just become the first African leader to wrest independence from European colonial rule through organized political action. But in this moment of triumph, tears stream down his face. Not just tears of joy, tears of burden. He knows what others cannot yet see. Ghana's freedom means nothing if the rest of Africa remains in chains. 57 years earlier, in 1909, Kwame Nkrumah draws his first breath in a small village in the western region. His mother, Elizabeth Nyaneba, is a trader. His father, Kofi Ngonloma, works gold in the traditional way of their people. They named their son after the day he was born, Kwame for Saturday. But destiny has already marked this child for something far greater than village life. At 12, young Kwame walks 30 miles to attend Ochimoto School. His bare feet know every stone on that dusty path. His mind hungers for knowledge the way his stomach hungers for his mother's palm nut soup. At Ochimoto, he encounters Marcus Garvey's writings. The words leap off the page like lightning, Africa for the Africans. Something awakens in the boy's soul, a calling he cannot yet name. 1935, Nkrumah boards a ship to America with £1,500 and dreams what a continent. At Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, the same institution that educated Langston Hughes and Thurgood Marshall, he discovers the writings of Marx, Lenin, and Gandhi. He studies philosophy by day and works in shipyards by night, his hands bleeding from honest labor, his mind burning with revolutionary fire. In London's bitter cold of 1945, he lives in a basement flat in Camden, surviving on bread and tea. But in this poverty, his vision crystallizes. He writes feverishly by candlelight, the forces that unite us are intrinsic and greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart. He sees it clearly now, not just individual nations breaking free, but a United States of Africa, one continental government, one currency, one army. February 1948. Nkrumah returns to the Gold Coast. The colonial authorities think they are getting a harmless intellectual. They have gravely miscalculated. Within months, he transforms the United Gold Coast Convention into a mass movement. His rallying cry, self-government now, echoes from Kumasi to Cape Coast. When the British arrest him in 1950, something unprecedented happens, the entire colony erupts in protest. In Sekondi prison, Nkrumah smiles behind iron bars. They have just made him immortal. The 1951 elections arrive. Nkrumah campaigns from his prison cell and wins by a landslide. The British, stunned, have no choice but to release him. As he walks free, crowds chant, "Showboy." They are term for an educated African who refuses to bow. At 42, he becomes leader of government business, then prime minister. Independence looms. But the greater struggle begins after the celebrations end. Nkrumah immediately launches his true mission, continental unity. In 1958, he hosts the first conference of independent African states. 8 nations attend, pathetically few, but it's a beginning. In 1963, he helps birth the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa. Emperor Haile Selassie chairs the meetings, but Nkrumah's dream animates every discussion. Yet his vision proves his undoing. While he travels the continent preaching unity, enemies gather at home. The CIA, threatened by his socialist leanings and Pan-African ideology, works to destabilize Ghana. Local elites, comfortable with neo-colonial arrangements, plot against him. On February 24, 1966, while Nkrumah visits Beijing, the military strikes. He learns of his overthrow via radio broadcast, his voice breaking as he absorbs the news. Exile in Guinea becomes his Golgotha. For 6 years, Sékou Touré provides sanctuary while Nkrumah writes and dreams. His book, Dark Days in Ghana, chronicles his betrayal. But even in defeat, his words inspire liberation movements from Angola to Zimbabwe. When cancer finally claims him in 1972 in a Romanian hospital, he dies believing Africa will eventually embrace his vision. Those who orchestrated his fall thought they buried his dream with him. They were spectacularly wrong. His fingerprints mark every African integration initiative, ECOWAS, the African Union, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Every time African leaders speak of continental currency or unified development, they channel Nkrumah's spirit. When you carry a Ghanaian passport, you carry Nkrumah's legacy. When African youth dream of continental unity, they dream his dreams. When tech entrepreneurs build apps that work across African borders, they fulfill his prophecy. The boy who walked barefoot to school became the man who showed Africa that freedom was not a gift to be received, but a birthright to be seized. His greatest lesson endures: individual freedom means nothing without collective liberation. Until Africa unites, Nkrumah's work remains unfinished. And perhaps that's exactly as he would have wanted it, a dream so powerful it outlives the dreamer, demanding each generation take up the torch and carry it forward.